That's my mother name.
What's up, guys? KW175 back with another Pokemon Duel video. We're going to be jumping right into it. This is the Dragon Gym deck prep, and I wanted to talk about this Dragon Sphere plate. There's a bug. It allows you to MP through a blocked entry point. You know, you can play it on another dragon type, and then it allows your 1 MP dragon types to come through a blocked entry. I don't think that it's too OP, but they're going to be fixing it on the 11th. We're going to be having a maintenance. I think they should keep it the way that it is. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you think that they should change it, if that's too OP. I don't think that it is, but and you don't need it in the gym because there's no 1 MP dragon types. A Lowland Ninetales is going to be coming to the Queen's Cup, according to Pokemon Duel's official website. They kind of tease it out that the Queen's Cup's going to be coming, and you're going to get a chance to get a second Lowland Vulpix, which is amazing. We're definitely going to take a look at that figure later, and following this video immediately, we're going to see some amazing gameplay from the Lowland Vulpix, along with some other incredible matchups, so definitely make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on so you do not miss that. Ring those bells. It's definitely going to be an awesome video. So Mega Rayquaza, definitely the star of the show of the new banner. This Pokemon's going to be 3 MP. Moving through other Pokemon, it's definitely going to be just probably the most insane Super Shuppet that we've had in Gym. You're going to be getting plus 20, plus 10 to Dragon, plus 10 to Flying type figures, so you definitely need to include that. It's going to have a plus 10 when it evolves, so that 140 is going to turn to a 150, doing a 170. Then if you have some other Altaria on the field, that's going to be plus 20 per Altaria. So I hope you guys have some Altaria to run with the Mega Rayquaza, and it's like recyclable. And I love this mechanic. Some people think that it's a little bit too OP, probably, you know, everyone who doesn't own the figure or the plate. But after 7 turns, you devolve just like any other Mega, but once any Rayquaza is knocked out, a Mega or regular EX Rayquaza, you do get this plate back. So if you're running multiple Rayquaza, one of them gets knocked out, then you immediately have your Meteoric Teachings plate back, and then you can Mega Evolve again. So if you got 2 Mega Rayquaza, 2 Rayquaza, you're definitely going to be in good shape. Mega Glalie, I don't own this Pokemon, but it's definitely an interesting Pokemon. If you get knocked out, you're going to be able to just devolve, stay on the field as regular Glalie, and you can take the goal if you're threatening. It's going to be getting a plus 20 in the gym. So you got to think, it's going to be, normally it has a base 140 and a 120. Then you're adding another 20 to it from its ability, because it's giving all ice type Pokemon a plus 20. But then in gym, ice types are getting another plus 20. So this thing's going to be hitting pretty hard, but I don't know. Dragons pretty much have it all in this gym, guys. Now, ice decks, it's definite. There's some arguments for them, because you're going to be able to get rid of sphere plates, which, you know, fire decks you could run in this gym because they're going to still be pretty good against the dragon types. So, I mean, it's a nice mechanic, but the dragons are going to be hitting for a ton of damage, but you can use this very smartly and strategically, being able to banish Pokemon with the sheer cold. You know, if you're going to run Giratina or the Lowland Vulpix, like Kyurem's going to be getting a double buff. You know, we'll get to that figure. I'm getting a little bit of ahead of myself, but think about it. This figure has a lot of utility. It's a little bit unreliable. You never quite know what it's going to hit. But you can freeze Pokemon. You can banish Pokemon with it. It hits for a decent amount of damage. It has gold. I like Glalie. I don't own the figure, but I think ice decks, I think it's a lot more chess. It's a lot more setup. You have to be a lot more defensive setting up your other Pokemon. So you know, it just depends what figures you have, you know, but we'll get to that. Regigigas, definitely one of the coolest new Pokemon that we have. A 0 MP, which kind of sucks, but if you run it with the other Regis, per Regi, so you have to have a Regirock, Registeel, and a Regice. And you're going to be able to have this Pokemon at 3 MP. You cannot long throw it. You cannot scoop up. You cannot max revive. Currently, you're going to be able to use Mega Ampharos and Ho's ability to revive it, but that is a bug. They're going to be fixing that again. I hope they don't, but it just basically hits like a truck. It's got the multi-blast, so if you're using Regice, it has the lock on purple, which there's a lot of purple in this Gym Cup. not only the ice types, but the dragons. Most dragons have a lot of purple. So Regice is probably going to be one of the best Pokemon to use along with Registeel, because the lock-on gold with Rayquaza running everywhere. But you get those lock-on abilities, or those lock-on markers applied to your opponent's figures. And then if you hit the multi-blast, you're going to be able to just kind of, wipe out every figure that has that marker. And the cool thing about Regice, it doesn't have any purple. It freezes. It has that ice beam. So I kind of like that, I do. And it's a decent amount, it's getting that plus 20. And it's going to be a decent amount of damage to take on Zoroark. Drampa. It's like the grandpa of dragon. So I think Drampa is definitely the right way to pronounce it. Has a base 150. Okay, this thing has some synergy that if you're going up against the Ultra Beast deck, you're going to be able to bring back one of those Pokemon from the Ultra Space and put it in its place if it's knocked out. If it's confused, it becomes 3 MP. This thing's normally 1 MP, but it's going to be 2 MP in Gym. And take a look at that Dragon Pulse. That thing's going to be hitting for 200 damage against any other Dragon type. I mean, that's going to be tough to deal with, even with, I think 2 Altaria on the field. Mega Rayquaza hits for 210 damage, 211 if you got a chain level with it. So the thing's going to be hitting for a base 200 if you get it to a chain level 10. Drampa's pretty insane, pretty insane. Glalie, there's a lot going on with the wheel. You can freeze it. You can get rid of sphere plates, which I don't think is going to be too important in this gym. Again, unless you're going up against the fire deck. I don't think it's a great standalone figure like it kind of is. You can freeze Pokemon. It's going to be having, a 120 and an 80. It's not a lot of damage. You're going to kind of be relying on landing gold in the purple or freezing Pokemon. I think you need other Pokemon like Frostlass. Frostlass is pretty insane. It's going to be able to go through other Pokemon. If they're frozen, you're going to capture them. So if you guys notice, there's kind of a theme here. You have to have multiple ice types. Like I said, it definitely turns the match into more of a chess match, because you got to set up, pick your matchups, have a plan. You're going to be able to either freeze Pokemon or Destiny Bond, and it's just kind of like a double knockout. You're going to get knocked out along with the opponent. So you want to run multiples, you want to run multiples, freeze Pokemon, capture them. If you have Kyurem, which we haven't got to yet, but you can, prevent them from being tagged along with Bergmite. Snow Run. So, 3 MP, it's going to have a 60, which doesn't really do a whole lot. It has gold, so I don't think it's going to be too hard to evolve. RNG is RNG. There's definitely going to be plenty of battles where you're going to have your opponent's going to land purple, you're going to land gold, knock them out. So those are basically the new figures that I wanted to kind of cover first, but we do have quite a few dragon types. So I'm not going to go into detail in every single figure, but I'm going to try to go into detail and kind of just off the top of my head, just spill out what I'm thinking. Mega Rayquaza, we already covered. We know if you have it, you definitely want to run it. Now, White Kyurem, definitely an interesting Pokemon. Turbo Blaze. So not only if it gets knocked out, you can split, go back to Kyurem, stay on the board. It also negates damage boosting effects. It gets a double buff, but it doesn't really need one. However, Kyurem also gets a double buff. So it's going to be a 3 MP, doing 130 damage with its Ice Beam, 170 with the Outrage. You can attack. If you get frozen, you can DNA Splice. You got to have Reshiram, but then you turn into White Kyurem. It's going to be a 3 MP that moves through other Pokemon. It's going to have a base 160 and a 120 that excludes if you have, Zekrom, which I don't recommend. I've been trying it out. It's just too tough to get the banish. There's too many status effects. But, the Draco Meteor is really nice. If you get knocked out, you split and go back to Kyurem. Mega Ampharos. Always a good Pokemon in any deck build just because of its ability to be able to revive Pokemon from the PC, but it also has the Dragon Pulse. So obviously in the Dragon Gym, you're going to be doing a lot more damage. Now Mega Altaria, it's going to be 3 MP. You can go through other Pokemon, so you're rushing with this Pokemon as well. And if any of your other figures get banished, you're going to be able to bring them back, if they go to the Ultra Space. But, decent amount of damage, final song, but Altaria is going to be where it's at, buffing your Rayquaza. a plus 20 per Pokemon. It's just, if you have a bunch of Altaria and Rayquaza, you're going to be doing a ton of damage. Now, Mega Salamence is a free figure. Most of you should have this figure if you've been playing for a decent amount of time. And Salamence isn't too bad, especially if you got some Altaria. You could throw a Dragon Fang on it now. We have a new plate that gives it a plus 20. At a chain level 10, you can be doing 100 damage, so it's actually not too bad against the Zoroark. You can at least go neutral, you know, or if you want to run it with just like one Altaria. You know, it's kind of a free-to-play figure. I think you could do okay with it. Sceptile is Sceptile. It can do a decent amount of damage with the stealth hit. Pull some cheese, but Mega Sceptile, there's no buff. But if you're running more of like a flying deck, if you have dragon and flying types, its ability does clear out your PC, so something to think about if you don't normally run those kind of figures. Shiny Rayquaza, if you don't have a regular Ray, you will have this figure. You should have this figure. It's been, you know, it was a free figure. I hope you guys have it, but you're going to give the opponent Primal Rage, so it's something you might want to think about. You're not going to get the Primal Rage, so, and there's no Mega Form for it as of now. We'll probably have to buy it. Noivern, it's going to be tough to evolve from Noibat. I think it's definitely going to be pretty tough in this gym. A lot of gold. I don't know. But if you're able to get the evolution off, Noivern is going to be amazing. That Hurricane, if they're running a full flying deck like Swablu, Altaria, Mega Rayquaza, like you can get a weight win pretty easily. Care Bear put together a deck. There's a video that I showcased. Go back and check. I think it's called Is This Legal? Insane with the Mega Salamence matchup and the Shaman. But yeah, I don't know. Like, Noivern's going to be tough to get. Now, Dragonite, I think the evolutions are viable. You can run the Giratina. You're going to be able to freeze Pokemon, get to the Dragonair, you know, get to Dragonite. It's a free figure. You know, it's available in this gym. I think it's usable. I think it is. Resh, not going to be strong enough really to do much. Not going to be strong enough to banish. There's a lot of status effects, especially from the ice types. They're going to freeze you upon knockout, so you're not going to be able to get the banish anyway. But, you know, they're going to be 3 MP. They have weight. You want to have a lot of other runners so that weight doesn't hurt you too much. But if you're running the DNA splice, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. I've been trying it out. I do like the DNA splice. Garchomp needs a buff really bad, but Gabite has a decent ability where you're not going to be able to attack it. It's not going to be able to do much after that. If your opponent is kind of hip to the strategy, like, oh, well, yeah, I can't attack Gabite, like, you can put him in some awkward situations, especially with some hurdle jump. And if that's all you have, I definitely recommend using it because, you know, placement can be rewarded in this game, especially, you know, with 3 MP and some hurdle jumps. Giratina, definitely going to be pretty good in an ice deck, even though that it's a dragon type. It's going to be 3 MP though, so I think it's going to be an easy evolution. Not an easy, but I think it's going to be viable. I think you could get the evolution all the way to Dragonite, you know. However, Giratina is definitely going to be a nice utility piece for ice decks to freeze Pokemon and hold them, you know, hostage with Kyurem. But if the Dragonite with maybe some Altaria, or you could throw a Dragon Fang on there, if you're able to fully evolve this Pokemon, I think it's a decent Pokemon, especially for a free Pokemon if you don't have any of, you know, a lot of the newest and latest, greatest figures. Zweilous. This Pokemon was bugged before. If you're able to evolve it from Dino, then it was you could get it to a 4 MP. So it's going to be a base 3 MP. It's going to evolve from Roar. You know, Dino is not going to be too easy to evolve though, guys. It's not. I just don't see many situations where this Pokemon is going to evolve unless the opponent misses. But I'm definitely curious to see if you're going to be able to get 4 MP. It has happened before, but they stated that nothing is going to get 4 MP. But the Zweilous is an easy evolution. With the Roar, though, there is a lot of gold. But you should be able to match up okay. Get a 2-star Draco Meteor. It's going to knock out any Pokemon that lands a 70, white, or higher, or miss. It needs a buff. But Hydreigon, I think it's usable if it's all you have. Now, we have Goomy. Rico cheesed me out with this Pokemon. It gives weight. So if you can surround the goal, even though you sacrifice Goomy, it could still, get you the win if you have another Pokemon set up. Definitely a free-to-play style figure. If it's all you have, it's a decent runner. But if you have Vibrava is where it's at. 3 MP with its vibrating sound. It's going to be able to allow you to set up. And as you've seen earlier, there's a lot of Pokemon that have 3 MP that can move through other Pokemon. So it's going to be tough to set up unless you have a bunch of runners. You're running a long throw, but you can confuse Pokemon. The evolution isn't going to be too viable. There's a decent amount of gold, but it's an annoying Pokemon to run. And if you do get the evolution into Flygon, it's going to have a 2-star Draco Meteor, which I love. That's why I like White Kyurem a little bit more than Black Kyurem. The Fly can be okay, especially with a 3 MP that can move through Pokemon. But Draco Meteor is going to be really nice. Now, Giratina. Giratina at a 2 MP is actually pretty nice, and you could even run it in a fire deck with the Hex, burning Pokemon. But I like Zygarde much better. It's a little bit weak to confusion, as most Pokemon are, and it has gold though, but the Land's Wrath, you definitely want to get the Land's Energy. You're going to be giving +10 to all your ground types, so you could run it with the Vibrava, with the Flygon, with the Gabite, with the Garchomp, and you definitely want to have the Land's Energy for the Land's Wrath, because it'll make your own Pokemon spin. If they spin purple, they're knocked out. So you play that plate. No, Rayquaza could definitely break energy, which could screw you over in the long run, but Zygarde can definitely do a full board wipe. Druddigon, definitely going to be more of a free-to-play style figure. The Dragon Tail is going to be really nice, kind of defensively. Solgaleo is definitely, I think, fills that role a lot better, but this is going to be a 3 MP. In the Revenge, it can hit for a decent amount of damage if you have a full PC. That's going to be a +40, 20 per Pokemon. So, again, White Kyurem, you guys know that I really like Kyurem, and White Kyurem, Black Kyurem, they're the only Pokemon in this gym that are getting a double buff. Kyurem, is the only one that really benefits from the double buff. Regice, that actually looks pretty awesome like that. We've already talked about, again, Multi-Blast. Lock-on Purple is going to be pretty viable, hitting for a ton of damage. Articuno isn't going to be the best Pokemon, but the Ice Charge. Again, Ice Decks, more of a chess match, setting up, having a plan, a strategy in mind for the Pokemon that you're using. I recommend Frostlass for sure, the Alolan Vulpix, Articuno if you're going to be able to freeze them. With Kyurem, they're not going to be able to tag them. Now, if they have Suicune or something, which you guys might want to think about as well, even though it's not getting a buff, it's a nice way to cleanse. But you can Pokemon switch with Kyurem if you freeze 2 Pokemon and hold them both hostage. Frostlass can move through them. A Lowland Sandslash, newer Pokemon, you guys should have it from the last Queen's Cup. This thing is going to have a base 70 spinner. Now, something I wanted to mention, if this thing is at level 10, okay, it's going to have a 35% chance of spinning 2 times for 140 damage. Now, if you get this thing to a chain level 10, that's going to be 160 damage. So it has about a 21% chance of spinning 3 times. So that's not the best odds, but that's going to be 210 damage. And then if you have this thing at a chain level 10, that's going to be 240 damage. Now, I think the Alolan Sandshrew, just in League, I think it maybe has a little bit better odds of potentially doing more damage. But the Alolan Sandslash is definitely going to be give you better odds. And the opponent can attack these Pokemon. If there's a free space, you're going to be able to move right past them. Now, the Earthquake on the Sandslash can get you into trouble. The Sandshrew, if it gets burned or paralyzed, it's going to have a huge miss. But, it has about a 31% chance to spend 3 times, which is only 150 damage, and then 21% to do 200. So Lowland Sandslash is the way to go. Now, Frost Rotom. You can run the Refrigerator Plate, turn every Pokemon into an Ice type, and do the Avalugg Cheese. Rico has showed it on his channel. You Pokemon switch, you get up next to their goal, they're an Ice type, and then you can just switch and take the goal. You can run it with a Coco, get a +30 because it is an electric type. You can put a Never Melt Ice Plate on it, and it's getting a +20, so it is going to have a base 110 Blizzard. So it's a free Pokemon. It has some blue to survive. The discharge is always kind of a drawback, but Frostlass. Now, we've already talked about this Pokemon at the beginning of the video, but again, I wanted to just kind of cover it. This Pokemon, I think, is a must-have in an ice deck. To be able to move through Pokemon, capture them in your PC, it's kind of like a max revive, and you're capturing them and kind of banishing their Pokemon. Glalie, I think it works really well in an ice deck, especially if you have the Mega Glalie. I think it's something that you definitely want to have. Now, we've yet to look at the Alolan Vulpix. This Pokemon is insane, and in the video following this one, with the duels and matchups, there's an insane ice battle. And you guys have to see that. You guys definitely got to check that out. But it's 3 MP. It freezes whenever it gets knocked out if it lands the Ice Beam. The Baby Doll Eyes, it's not really that good. It's not really anything that you need to do or worry about. It's nothing that's really going to work out. But if you're freezing Pokemon, you can switch. Sometimes they'll go block that frozen Pokemon, and you can switch and just win. Avalugg has a ton of blue. Really good defender. You can pull off the cheese with the Frost Rotom if you're running that. You can run the Bergmites, and you can continue to bring them out. It's going to have a heavy 140. It'll freeze them on its weaker attack. But you got to watch out for Mega Rayquaza because it negates all blue, turns them to miss. Weavile deck. I mean, we all know about the Weavile. It's pretty inconsistent. The taunt is pretty horrible, but this Pokemon is going to deal plus 20 damage for each friendly Weavile on the field. So if you have a full Weavile deck, you know, plus the gym buff for the plus 20, if you want to throw some Never Melt Ice Plates on there, I think they could do okay. I think they could do okay. Now, Sneasel. Sneasel was MVP in around, like, you know, whenever Ice got its first plus 20 in the gym, but Sandshrew, Lowland Sandshrew and Sandslash kind of take that role now, so I don't recommend Sneasel. Lapras can't be frozen. You can put Pokemon to sleep. Okay, Pokemon, I guess. Snorunt, again, I mean, if you're lacking gold Pokemon, if you really don't have a lot of Pokemon, or if you're just looking to try to get the evolution for the Glalie, it could work. Now, Delibird is actually an Ice type, so it doesn't matter. That 60 isn't going to do anything. This Pokemon was strictly to recycle your Mega Plate. Now, if you got Mega Rayquaza, it's basically got a built-in Delibird. I mean, every time it's knocked out, or another Rayquaza is knocked out, you get the plate back. But if you're running other Megas like the Mega Salamence, or if you're running the Mega Glalie, maybe you could try to cycle this Pokemon out. Me and SHD both did videos on the Delibird. You can go ahead and try to check both of our channels out for those videos for like unlimited Mega Sceptile with the Ho-Oh. But it's a lot of setup. Yeah, I think there's better decks than that as of right now. Bergmite. Again, utility piece for kind of, you know, just a small piece of the puzzle for an entire ice deck. Freeze them, you know, go next to them, prevent them from being tagged. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers most of the typing, and I'm trying to go through this as quickly as possible, so if I'm not touching on everything in 100% detail, you know, I apologize. Hit me up in the comments, guys. Let me know. Zoroark is definitely going to be a Pokemon that you want. We all know what Zoroark can do. If you have Zoroark, put him in your deck, especially, you know, if you're lacking other Pokemon. Malamar, though, I wanted to talk about Malamar. People generally run duplicates or triples in the gym, especially, you know, 2, 3 Altarias, Swablu. If nobody's running Coco, you can put them all to sleep, so Malamar could be viable, especially next to Cobalion, kind of protecting it against its weakest adversary, the Mega Rayquaza or just the EX Rayquaza with that huge gold. Cobalion's going to be a really nice Pokemon that cannot be knocked out by them, and if you're running a Vibrava, you can kind of snuggle them next to each other on the goal to protect yourself and then be offensive. Suicune. It's definitely going to be a Pokemon that you may want to consider, you know, ice types. They're going to be freezing. Kyurem, you're not going to be able to tag them. Bergmite, you know, Curse from the Perish Song from the Altaria. Like a lot of status effects, a lot of markers. You know, if people's running Reggies and you're getting those lock-on markers, I mean, I don't know if it, actually, I don't know if it'll get rid of that. It just says curse markers, so I don't know if it's all markers or just curse. Something that needs to be tested. But Suicune, definitely a choice. Mew is going to be pretty good against the Dragon decks. Rayquaza, super weak to Mew. Now, Mega Rayquaza, you know, 50% of Mew's wheel is going to be a miss, basically. I mean, or it's going to get knocked out. The blue's going to turn to a miss, and the Psychic gets knocked out. So, I don't know. Swablu, if you don't have Altaria, like it's an uncommon, right? You're not going to get a plus 20 on your dragon, but you'll still get a plus 10. Litten negates gold. This is going to be a pretty nice counter to the Rayquaza, and Torracat's going to be kind of crap, but you know, it's a 3 MP. It has that fake out, or you know, the swap spot thing that it does, kind of like Virizion. So I don't know. And then if you get up to the Incineroar, that's pretty strong. Bronzor, going to be an amazing Pokemon. There's going to be a ton of 3 MP easy knockouts. I definitely recommend it if you're free to play. Poliwhirl also has a ton of great matchups. You know, a lot of the dragons are hard countered by Poliwhirl. You know, Kyurem. You know, level 5 Rayquaza, if it hits the fly, it'll shift to a miss. You know, Resh, the White Kyurem, like Drampa. There are just so many Pokemon that the Poliwhirl hard counters. Run it with an X speed, it's pretty good. So guys, I think we covered most of the figures. I try to just spit off the top of my head all of these synergies and just like uses of the Pokemon. I hope it was helpful. These are the rewards in the gym, and you know, we still got a couple days left of the gym. I apologize that this video is late getting up. I know that it's going to be late, but if you don't have Dragonite or Dragonair, now's your chance. There's an EX cube, you know, a decent amount of Carmonite, some resources. Just play, guys. If you know, I hear people say that they don't want to play because they don't have a lot of great figures. Yeah, top 3,000, 1,300. Guys, just play. Just play. You're going to get some bug bots. You'll get some wins. You'll get some new accounts. The gym's going to be going till the 9th at 7:59 UTC. So we still have a couple of days. Definitely play. Try to get those figures. Get those rewards. There's what the Invincible Trophy looks like. I hope I can get it. I'm definitely going to be trying. I'm going to try to do my best. But this is kind of the current deck that I have right now. But we're going to take a look at a few other deck builds. First, I wanted to show you some new masks. These are the newest of the masks, 153 trophies, definitely not even possible for us here in the States, and I think anybody else outside of Japan. People from Japan, I don't know, they had carnivals or ways to get trophies before the world release, so they have more trophies than we do, but it's kind of cool. So before we end the video, we're going to spend, you know, a little bit of time just kind of going through my figures, what I have. Now I'm going to try to put together a couple free-to-play style decks, but I'm also going to try to put together some of the decks that I think that I'm going to run with the figures I have. So right off, dragon types are going to get the MP buff. So you need runners. That's what your dragons are for. You kind of want to run, you know, the strongest dragons that you have, but Giratina, it's kind of there for an ice deck. Kyurem gets a double buff, so I could say, okay, well, he's going to get the plus 20 and the plus MP. He's a runner. We have Vibrave. It's going to be a really good runner. Now, I could run Giratina. I could run a Max Revive. You know, it's a decent runner. If it gets knocked out, it's going to freeze him. I can try to, you know, like hold him hostage with my Kyurem, and we can set the evolution. Because most of us should have Dragonite and Dragonair unless you're pretty new. You have to have the Lowland Sandshrew and the Lowland Sandslash. I mean, it just came out not that long ago. I mean, I think most of us should have it. It was pretty easy to get. They're going to be doing a ton of damage. Now, this deck, as I'm putting it together, I don't think this is a good deck. But I'm just kind of showing you what's kind of going through my mind. Like, I'm just looking at kind of certain figures that I think would be kind of good to run. I throw them up there, and then I try to start coming up with strategies. Frostlass, definitely a good Pokemon to have in any ice deck. You know, with being able to freeze them with Kyurem and Dratini. With a Max Revive, we can hold them hostage. We can, you know, try to swap spot or Pokemon switch. If they can't get in range to tag them, you can move through them and capture them. Vibrave is going to be a good way to slow a lot of Pokemon down. Most of you guys should have Shiny Ray. Now, if you want to run Ray just as a 2 MP, I don't know. Like, it's going to give the other Rayquazas the Primal Rage. So I don't know that Shiny Rays is going to be a great way to go. Hydreigon was, yeah, it's just not strong enough. But Zygarde, I do like the, option with Zygarde, but you do have to have the Land's Energy unless you're not running any Pokemon that have purple. Now, this is actually a deck build that I think could do really well. Bronzor is going to just annihilate 3MP Pokemon. Vibrava is going to slow him down. Gabite's a decent runner. We have the Garchomp evolution. Zoroark going to be able to switch, knock out all those heavy hitters. Poliwhirl is definitely going to be a great Pokemon to counter a lot of Pokemon. If you take a look at Kyurem, it's going to land the Ice Beam. It's going to shift into the Mist. If you take a look at, let's see, Drampa here. Drampa. Most people are going to be going for the Dragon Pulse. Going to shift into a Miss. Now, Shiny Rayquaza or any other Rayquaza, if it's not level 5, it's not going to be a good matchup. But I have my other Rayquaza here. It's leveled up, level 6. See if it lands the Break Energy, not the Fly. The Break Energy is going to shift over to a Miss. So, Resh, most of the time it's going to be landing Miss or Fly. That one attack. White Kyurem, it's got that little miss hanging in over there. It's going to be shifting into a miss a lot of the time. So, just go through and look at all the other Pokemon that I mentioned that are going to be the most meta, the strongest of the typings, and you can see that Poliwhirl has a great matchup. I think that deck is viable. With the Poliwhirl, the Zoroark, and the Swablu, and the Rayquaza, you can run the Tropical Energy, which is going to cure your whole team if you start getting a lot of Pokemon frozen. I think this deck is viable. I could totally run this and get 30 wins. I truly believe that. I don't think it's the best deck, but I think it's usable. Maybe run 2 Max Revive. Now, if you're a little bit higher tier and you do have the Altaria, this is definitely the best way to go. You're going to get way more of a buff on your Rayquaza. You have the Zoroark that you're going to be able to switch. You have the Vibrava, which is a good runner. It's a good goalie. It's annoying. It's hard to get around. You can run a Hurdle Jump, Max Revive. You got the Tropical Energy, which is going to work on, I think, 4 out of 6 of your figures. You got to scoop up because you're not running a Gold Block. Yeah, Tropical Energy is going to work on everything but the Vibrava and the Zoroark. I love this deck. Love this deck. No Mega Ray. No Mega Altarias, but, I mean, let's say, hey, you do have the Mega Rayquaza. We're definitely going to throw that in there. If you have the Mega Altaria, you could have used it for the rush. If you don't, you don't. If you want to use them both, you can. But Mega Rayquaza, I think if you had to choose between one or the other, I'd definitely go with Mega Ray. Because you're going to be able to just move up, soar over. If you hit Fly, Cheese Win, huge gold, huge attacks, huge buffs. I love this deck. I think this deck is definitely more of a whale deck. I mean, not a lot of people have 3 Altaria. I get that. But I think, a lot of people went for the Zoroark. A lot of people crafted Zoroark. I think most of you guys should have Zoroark unless you're really brand new. If not, just use the Lowland Sandslash or the Lowland Sandshrew, like a heavy hitter. Something that has the potential to do a lot of damage. But if you don't have regular Ray, you could use Shiny, but you got to be careful giving that Primal Rage. You could throw Drampa in here. You could throw Kyurem in here. Something that has a decent amount of damage, or another runner. You could run 2 Rays, especially if you have 2 Mega Rayquaza. Oh, man. It's going to be so good because, like, every time a Ray gets knocked out, you're going to get the Meteoric Teachings back, and then you're going to be able to go Mega Form again. You could put a Drampa in here with the Ray. Drampa's kind of your heavy hitters. Zoroark can pretty much handle anything. You got 3 runners. Both the Altaria are going to be buffing your Dragon types. Like, I think this is another deck that could do really well. And you can always change the plates around a little bit. Like, I like having a Max Revive in a Mega. You could run 2 Mega plates if you wanted to run a Mega Altaria and a Mega Ray. Now, more of a free-to-play deck. This deck right here, I honestly believe I could get the 30 wins with this. And it's mostly uncommons and free figures except for the Zoroark. And again, I think Zoroark was such a good figure. I know there's some debate whether it's trash or not, but at level 10, it's really good. You know, you got the Vibravas to slow down the rush. You got the Bronzor to just annihilate all the other 3 MPs. Zoroark to be able to switch. Poliwhirl is going to be able to just like shift most of the dragons into misses. You know, it's not going to be the best matchup for Ray, but that's what you have the Zoroark for. You know, if it's level 5, it'll be okay. You got a Hurdle Jump for the Vibravas, Max Revive. You know, Lowland Sandslash is going to be able to do a decent amount of damage. Now, I like this deck right here. Again, my other deck, I had Zek in there, but instead of Zoroark, but I like this. You know, we can rush with the Kyurem White, with the White Kyurem. We got the Zoroark to be able to switch. We have the Altaria runners buffing our Ray. We got the Mega Rayquaza. We could even throw a Mega Altaria plate in there if we wanted to. Fire decks. I think fire decks are going to be really good if you invested into a fire deck for the gym, and that's pretty much everything you have. Or, I mean, for the league, and that's pretty much all you have. Run it in the gym, you know? I mean, Rayquaza, man, it's going to be one of the best figures. I like Kyurem as well, especially with the DNA splice. Altaria is going to be really good because they're runners now at level 5. There's no miss. Like, it's... I don't know. Fire decks counter a lot of these Pokemon, too, if you take a look at the wheels. A lot of these Pokemon get countered pretty good, except for Kyurem. Kyurem has a decent shot at making something happen. But, yeah, Poliwhirl, Fire decks, Bronzor. This was the deck that I was testing out and using. I think I may switch it up a little bit, but in the following video coming out directly after this video, guys, it's a double upload just to kind of make up for the lack of videos and for being late. But these are some of the other deck builds that I've tried. This could be, I think, okay as well with the figures that I have. I like Drampa, just really good against a lot of other dragon types. And it's like, it's hard to kind of let go. You don't need to use Dragon Sphere. Some of these were like League builds. So Dragon Sphere, again, is not going to be useful at all. Zero use in the gym. Fire decks, I think, are going to be pretty good. But guys, I think that's pretty much all I have. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. If it did, definitely slap a like on the video. It helps out a lot. Subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload, including this next video coming out with some incredible duels. You don't want to miss it. Follow me on Twitter at KDub175. Until the next one, later guys.